more. We all drive cars, and we all pay just a few dollars, maybe $2 when we change our tire for them to discard it, but it's no place for them to put these tires except in landfills. And so these things are just being ejected back into the earth. So if the listeners or viewers could just realize for a second, just imagine you have a tree, a big tree, and that particular tree produces a liquid, a white liquidy substance. That liquidy substance is called rubber. It comes from a tree in Brazil. The men, they tap it, the rubber comes out. They put it in big giant balls and load it on their canoes and sail it up to river to the boat, which is going to take it to the processing factory. Now, these guys are getting like peanuts. They're getting peanuts compared to if you compare it to the work that they're doing and the industry that they're in. And 9 times out of 10, most of that rubber is going to find its way into our homes here in the United States. What do? We put it on our cars, we put it on our bracelets, we put it different places, and then a few weeks later, or a few months later, or a year or two later, we discard it, and it all has to be done again. And so that's what I mean by realizing consumption and the like. And so that's why we lean toward recycling as a form of construction, as opposed to having to chop down any more or support any more processed wood farms, or support any more of those of the large corporations who are part of the home building industry. They're all in cahoots, and if you realize, the homes are never strong enough. They build these houses with all of these thousands of codes, and that's why we say architecture is not good, and we say ecotecture, because architecture does things like this. They have a storm where a hurricane comes through and obliterate the community, blow all the roofs off. Then they have insurance companies that come in and sign up. Insurance companies, Lowe's, Home Depot, all those different people are connected in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And then they all can reap the benefits of putting the community back together, as opposed to building a house that can't blow away, or a house that just cannot blow away. And it's possible. And so with Earthships, they're so grounded and so heavy and so full of just earth that they are earthquake-proof and hurricane-proof, tornado-proof to a certain extent, and, of course, flood-proof, because once a building like that floods, just let it drain out. You don't have to rip out no sheetrock. You don't have no insulation, And so I'm speaking to the building community out there this evening, the people who would like to build communities, the people who want to start, because I hear people all the time say, I want to build an African village, or I want to build a village, I want to build a community, or I want to build a Haitian village or a Punjab village. And so we always say, okay, what type of building do you want to do? Okay, that's always the first thing. And then the second thing is, lots of people do not understand the building trades industry. And so by the time they get to understand the capital industry, which is the main industry now, there's a whole other industry moving in the green building sector, and not just building with car tires and recyclables. I've built, in the last couple of years, we've built several structures at Oyotunji, several temples, and we built them out of sandbags, using sandbags. No one lives in those structures, of course, because it's difficult to get people to move into a house that's made of different material just yet. But nonetheless, they're very sturdy. They've been there through storm, through rain, through snow, thick and thin, and they remain. And so building with earth is the key. And so to all people who would love to have a community built or begin building communities, we have to always remember that we have to build sustainable communities. We cannot afford to build communities like we used to, with a whole bunch of houses on one street and a sewer system to go in and a whole bunch of power lines running to everybody's house, plugging everybody into the grid. Those days are over for the most part. They need to be over because the impact is so large. Imagine in the daytime when it's a hot day in the South, how many people are using their air conditioners and the strain that places on the grid. And a lot of our electrical grids are powered by coal or nuclear or some quote-unquote dirty energy. Yeah. And so that's pretty much it in a nutshell, Osaremi. I really enjoyed speaking with you this evening. If you don't have any more questions.
Okay. Well, what was I going to say? I was going to ask you something else. Oh, what I was going to tell the listeners, if you go to Wikipedia, you can actually, I'm going there right now, get some more information about Earthships, and anytime I start looking up something and everything, that's where I kind of go to kind of get the first little delves into it and everything.
Well, yeah,
and it actually has
definitely go to earthships.com.
Okay, yeah, earthships.com. And I was actually watching the film that you was doing it with the tires, and could you explain kind of what they were doing on the video that you were showing for us, because it was actually quite interesting.
Well, that was a few young men from the Boy Scouts of America who came down to Oyotunji to lend us a hand and just check out the place and be around our culture for a few days. So, as you know, the Boy Scouts always would like to leave their mark there. They like to do things when they come. And so I showed them the Earthship, and they were very excited, as young kids are, about new things. And so, like, we do want to target the young people with when we talk about changing the thinking in the building and construction world and the supplying of homes and houses. But we had them packing tires. The Earthship concept is a tire whereby one wheelbarrow load of earth is pounded into the inner rim of that tire. So you have a tire, right, and you have the rim is gone, and the inside is packed tight with dirt. And the young men would pound that with a sledgehammer to pack it tight in each crevice of the inside of that tire. And it packs it tight. And so those are laid out like bricks. You lay them out like brick tiers, and you go up a tier, up a tier, up a tier, and you keep going until you reach the height that you desire. And so each one of those tires are going to absorb the sunlight from the windows, okay? And those tires and earth are going to warm up throughout the day, and in the evening time it's going to give it back. But of course you don't see the tires. The tires are stuccoed over. They're stuccoed all around. It looks nice, and it's nice and finished. And so while we were building these things, I turned around and one day and I said, that's what I get for using those tires, you know. I said, look at me, I'm back building with those same tires that I probably used. You know, I said, see, that's what I get. I used those tires on my car. Now I got them back, and I got to live in them now. You know, so it was sort of that kind of thing. And a lot of things take place when you're working with Earth, mentally and spiritually, anyway, because of course we all come from Earth. Yeah.
Does it take a lot longer to build one of these houses than it does a conventional house?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're getting a lot more than you are getting out of a convention house. Out of a conventional house, you're getting an energy sucker. Basically, that's what you're building when you build a conventional house. You're building a bill. You know, first you go into debt building a house, and then you stay in debt because you have to continue the crazy utilities. And the utilities are always high because the place doesn't hardly have any windows, or you have built next to another building where the sun doesn't shine in the building. You're not catching water. You're not harvesting the sun. You're just drawing. And so, of course, it's difficult. Any type of revolution or change is difficult. But you're talking about the benefits are huge. I mean, not only do you get to give something back to the earth and give something back to the environment, but at the same time, you live comfortable. You live in tune with nature. You know, you live in a house where you grow food in your foyer or in your front room somewhere. You're growing vegetables, peppers, all year round, you know, and you're catching water on the roof. You become in tune. You begin to live once again. People have stopped living, we see, in lots of places we go. They've just become zombies. There's no more work being done. You know, to live in a house, it takes work. To own your own house, as a lot of homeowners may know, takes a lot of work. And if you don't know the skills to maintain a house or a structure, you would always have to pay a contractor. Yeah, you would always.
I'm actually looking at some pictures. They actually look very, very nice when they're like completed and everything. And I just think it's just really interesting. They look very interesting.
And then, like at Oyotunji, since we know we are Yoruba people and we're going to design with Africa in mind, West Africa in general in mind, then you can use this as a foundation and design most of our buildings with like I say, with this foundation, but with the African or Yoruba or West African motif in the decoration and the design. And so we could take this to Africa, actually. It can be taken all over the world. And Michael Reynolds and his gang of Earthship builders do just that. They just returned from Haiti. It was in Haiti where they went there to build the Earthship. And they showed the people how to do it. And it's the type of thing that's so simple. You can show the people how to do it in 2 months, and you can leave, and they can be responsible for building their own towns again. And these things,
wow.
if people were living in Earthships when the earthquake hit, trust, the houses will still be standing. Now, mind you, if anybody build on a cliff, you're liable to slide down the cliff. But for the most part, even when Earthships are built on mountainsides, they're built into the mountain as opposed to extending from the mountain. And so it's a plus all around. And so I hope that it takes a hold in Haiti, and it's a means for them to get rid of their garbage and get rid of their recyclable materials as well.
Wow, that is very interesting. So are you planning in the future to do a palace with the Earthship?
Yes, we plan to build many structures with the Earthships and using alternative building techniques is what we would like to call it, because Earthships is a design and a coined concept and a coined phrase of a gentleman by the name of Michael Reynolds out in New Mexico. We would like to just call it, because it's not exactly the same thing, we would like to call it alternative building techniques, whereby we use the materials that we discard every day and label as trash, and we turn them into usable resources. Okay? And so, yes, we do plan to have work weekends whereby people can come down to Oyotunji and help us out, learn the Earthship concept, learn the technique, learn the understanding of building green and living green, so on and so forth. And so, like I say, we're not perfect at this particular topic nor subject, and we just want to put that out there up front. We're definitely not perfect with this subject of living sustainable, but what better time is it than now to begin
learn it?
To do just that. Yeah. But it's better to do it now than later, because all the experts, all the scientists, all of the wise people, all of the priests and priestesses, everybody all of a sudden in the entire world are saying, well, things are getting ready to change rapidly in a very short time. And so why not listen?
Okay, I say, well, thank you so much for sharing all this information with us.
I enjoyed everything over there, Osaremi.
We have one person on the line. I want to see if they have a question or a comment about, and then I'll let you go, okay?
Oda.
1 second. 720, you're on OORadio. Do you have a question or comment?
No comments at all. I'm just listening. It's really, I guess, inspiring to hear. I think just the community talk about green living and sustainability. So that's it.
What's your name and where you're calling from?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Shango Sonia calling from Denver.
Oh, okay. How you doing? You're a regular listener. It's
Yeah. I'm doing well. It's just it's really awesome to hear this piece. I think I've just been it's just really awesome to do it. I do a community garden out here in Denver with some people, and I've been trying to instigate people in my ELA to kind of like get into this. So it's awesome.
Yes, it's very necessary in that in our ELAs and in our temples we are people of a natural persuasion, and so to be natural and live natural and utilize the elements and take care of the elements, it's just like taking care of your own personal Orisha. What difference is the Oshun from the DC River or the Potomac River, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And so the more people poison, and we allow them to poison the Potomac River and poison Olokun, then there it is in our face. People are desecrating our not just our livelihoods, but our spirituality as well. So it's a very spiritual thing, community gardening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been awesome for me. I kind of got into it haphazardly. I kind of got